Well, hello, Vigos Court. Welcome back after a small delay. We are back and we are ready for today's games. I am Judge, that one guy D, and I am joined by Counselor. It's your boy, Q.
What it
What is
do?
up, Q?
What it do? This is a casting pairing that I have been very much awaiting for. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a delay, but we are getting ready to rock and roll into it. And you mentioned it. We have ourselves a really good matchup here. We've got six. We've got Outlaws of the Fog. It's week 3, so pretty well every killer's on the table. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know a little bit about Six, playing against them myself a few times, and I know a little bit about Outlaws of the Fog from what casting last week. I'm really excited to see how these teams do. Six being a little bit more seasoned, of course, but it should be a good matchup either way.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see as far as once we get into the trial itself, what kind of strategies we see. Because we'll actually talking about here real quick, not exactly the most, I would say, typical of a map that we're used to seeing in the comp scene, right?
Yeah, so we've got Torment Creek, which is Six's home map. It is a fairly decent sized map, 7 hook min, 12 hook max. The gen spread on this map is very, very widespread. And I mean, I don't know if you play Killer, but let me tell you, it is miserable playing Killer on this map.
Yeah, especially because you talk about on that main building side, right? Not only is the building itself relatively large, but you do have quite a few filler pallets just off of that main building that you can kind of link together. So if you happen to take a chase early, might work out in your favor that you can remove those pallets, but definitely an area that you probably don't want to be spending too much time in.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, the good thing about this map, though, for Killer is that typically a very strong 3-gen, almost 4-gen does spawn on that main building side. But if that gets broken, I mean, at that point, it's like, all right, GG, survivors, enjoy your 4 out.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you talked about, you have some interesting spread as far as your gens. Doesn't have the most traditional tiles, so to speak. You only have a couple of like jungle gym 4 lanes that kind of spawn in it. But what kind of killer do you anticipate as far as seeing being brought out over the course of the 4 trials? Like, what do you think probably gives our teams the best chances of success here?
So just from my personal experience on this map, I've seen a Pyramid Head do very, very well here. Just being able to close down some loops if there are some of those weird jungle gyms. You're able to essentially not worry about that hook time that it takes to pick up and carry to a hook. You're able to just, transport them to their box. I could see a Billy being good here potentially with that mobility, maybe an Oni. The only thing about Oni is that he is a little bit dependent on that pallet spread, right? Because of smart survivors will free throw. But I expect to see more of a mobile killer. I wouldn't think a Blight or an S tier of any sort like that, but definitely mobility wise.
Yeah, we saw a very impressive performance actually in our last matchup from a high mobility carry that isn't an S tier, but I do feel like could probably do well here being the Billy, right? I think it'd be fun. We also saw the Cenobite coming out in our last matchup. I think also Cenobite could introduce some interesting things. I was talking with Fear about it earlier, and while we have a moment here while our survivors are loading in, I would be interested to get your take as far as kind of seeing the Cenobite introduced more into the competitive scene.
So I've seen a little bit of mixture of both. I think from what I've seen so far, balance wise, I don't think he's too oppressive. I think I hate playing against Cenobite on a personal level. Can't stand him, drives me insane. But if you have one person that is literally on box duty, he really just becomes that M1 killer. Yeah, he has his power that can slow you down, but instead of greeting the pallet, you just pre-throw him. And I saw that happen in DBE. I saw that happen earlier. If you just pre-throw that pallet instead of trying to play on either side, he kind of gets nullified. But he does have good gen pressure because if you don't have somebody on box duty, then it can go the complete opposite direction and he becomes super oppressive. So it just depends on how organized those survivor squads are. And then if you hit your M2s, as any M2 killer, if you don't hit your M2s, you're not going to win.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? When you talk about having that extra power, and especially on Cenobite, where you're usually using the M2 to try and like slow down survivors around tiles and stuff. Hitting those is definitely very crucial, especially because you have that little bit of cooldown coming out of it as well. But I'm going to be interested here. Again, we're talking about week 3. I mean, really everything's on the table. I don't think either of our teams have used maybe anything out of one of their S tier like picks. So really anything on the table.
I could see maybe a Wraith. Maybe a Wraith, just because of the fact that he can traverse with Windstorm, cross the map fairly quickly. You can, break pallets fairly quickly with that, what is it, that brown add-on. Allows you to kick and come out of Cloak.
Right.
I could see maybe a good pressure with Wraith. It really just depends on how confident our killer is.
It would be interesting seeing some Wraith come out, because Wraith is definitely one of those killers that is typically not seen as like a comp viable killer. Although we did see yesterday, of course, yesterday we were playing on Dead Dog, and that is, more of a map where Wraith can shine. But I think this is another one here. Like you said, I think we could see, which would be nice to be able to use Wraith in a situation like this, because then you're saving your better picks for other maps, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And, and realistically, if you use any type of M1 killer here, I think going in, shooting for like a 6-stage game, maybe a 2K, isn't a bad showing for the killer. So ideally, you kind of play with that in your thoughts if you don't want to burn that S tier, right? So you're kind of looking at it from a strategic standpoint. Like, do I want to come in, get 6, 7 hooks, blow somebody that, we maybe wouldn't use ever?
Right.
Maybe use like a Plague, right? Because Plague has some good map pressure now, which we talked about a little bit offline, of course. But like Plague has become a more popular pick. It's just curious to see like how confident is our killer and what they can bring to the table.
Yeah, I think the Plague brings up a very interesting take, especially on any sort of corn map. Like, yeah, we all know about the corn blindness itself, but when you're talking about moving from tile to tile, it's not like where you're on an Azerov map and you have a lot of small little parts of environment that you can tuck around when you're avoiding the corrupt purge, right? Like when you're moving from one place to the next, you're pretty well wide in the open to take those M2 shots there. Or even when you don't have the corrupt purge, there isn't much to avoid getting fully infected relatively quick. And I think that's why we're seeing Plague, even just since the buff, being used more in the competitive scene.
Which is crazy because prior to that buff, Plague never got used.
True.
Ever. Like if you brought Plague, you were getting 4 outed, maybe 1 or 2 hooks, maybe a death hook camp, right? So the fact that Plague is coming in and being actually somewhat strong, I mean, in the right hands, like it's insane.
It's going to be interesting here, right? So we're talking about 6 coming out on the first trial. Of course, this is their home map, so you'd imagine that they are a little more familiar with some strategies and stuff, but also keep in mind, 6's Survivor Squad has been very, very impressive and consistent every time we see him.
Oh, 6, I mean, like I said, I've played against 6 before. They've got very strong killers. They've got very strong survivors. I mean, they definitely have that organization that you need to have a strong survivor side. Because let's be honest, right? You need that one survivor. If you all haven't been playing together forever, you need that one survivor calling the shots. Mm-hmm. And they seem like they have a very organized way of playing the game. So whether that's somebody calling it or they all just know what to do from scrimming enough, they are very, very well prepared every time.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting you talk about as far as normally some teams seem to need a shot caller, and obviously we don't know, we haven't been in their comps, but it just does seem, and I believe even from talking with them post match a couple of times, it just seems like their chemistry, they're very well tight knit. You talked about you don't need a shot caller because you just kind of know where everyone's going.
Well, when you've played it enough, right, and you've played, I would assume they have played this map a million times, and let me tell you, I'm sure they're sick of this map, to be honest, right? But from a survivor side of things, I'm sure at this point they kind of know, okay, we've seen this gen pop up here so many times, we've seen this gen pop up over here so many times, we know we need, just like if you're playing Dead Dog, if you do that Gallows gen first,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be an easy game, right? So similar thing here with Torment. What gen are they going to attack first? Because they're going to have a game plan coming in. We're going to knock out this one. Boom, boom, boom. All right, then we can play it, and then kind of just from there wing it.
Do you think that there is a particular area in the map that should be focused more on this map? Because I feel like this map offers a lot of uniqueness in the fact there's a lot of I wouldn't say unfamiliar, but unusual like loops around, whether it be the cow tree in the middle, you've got your two compactors, the weird hay in the backside of the main building. Do you feel like there's an area that our survivors need to focus more?
I think so. I think if you can break down that backside of the map by main or top side, sorry, I think that's better for the survivors because if you do get a good solid gen lock there, right? It's hard to break. And with very minimal resources, if you can get 1 or 2 gens done there, if there is 4, then you're good. But if you let that go to endgame, it can spell trouble, especially with basement spawning right there. It can be complete disaster.
Yeah, I would agree. And that's why I was wondering on your case, because I do feel like sometimes, especially on that top side of the map, on the backside there of where the main building is, sometimes you can get lucky with some RNG and have some like good loops. But for the most part, we see that that kind of seems to be atypical, right?
Oh yeah, usually there's maybe 1 filler pallet and it's pretty much a trash loop, right?
Yeah.
You usually have the ones off main and then you've got like 1 more filler to the next, jungle gym. But other than that, it's usually like 2 to 3 pallets at best.
And we are going to see here real quick. We're already moving into trial number 1 here. We're going to want to make sure that we have both our, or should I say both, but all 4 of our blueprints. We'll also make sure we have our cut coin. And since we are going to be seeing Outlaws here coming out on Killer first, let's actually go ahead and discuss what it is that they're going to be looking to do as far as putting those points on the board here.
All right. So as you know, for killers, very much hook based, right? So 2 points for each hook. Third hook, 3 points. Progression's worth 1 less point. So basically, don't camp your hooks. Try to rotate hooks, right? Just kidding. Anywho, you gotta do what you gotta do. Get those kill. 7/8 hook, worth 1 point each. 4K equals 2 points. Basically, you're just trying to get those hooks, maximize your hook rotation, and get those points. If they die to the entity, I do believe it is max points, correct? Or is it progression? I can't remember that one. But bleed outs equal 0 in that regard. 30 points available total for the killer. For more info on the rules, though, type !rules in the chat.
Yeah, just for the full clarification, you actually get the full kill value as far as if it's to the end game there, right? The actual entity there. So we are now
Got
fully
it.
loaded in, and let's get down to it. I'm excited. Let's see what kind of killer option we do have out here. And I don't think either of us made this call. It is, I think, the first time we have actually seen this killer in Vigo's season 2, as far as I know. Coming out with the hag here, kind of an interesting pick, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. Hag has good. You got to let Hag set up a web, but right now taking chase early is kind of, I think, a scary situation already.
Yeah, it's pretty tough because you mentioned it. Typically, Hag is going to be the killer that benefits from having a long setup time. Now, you do have the benefit, of course, while you're in loops, especially in this portion, you can kind of start to do a little bit of midway setup, I guess you can say. You're also shutting down this loop as well, making it so they can't completely work around without going. Also going to be able to probably do like a scroll wheel, silver wheel, plus M1 like we kind of saw there. But now with our survivors kind of knowing where a couple of traps are, you're going to be able to basically use these 2 survivors here to distract your hag while you have 1 or 2 survivors just holding M1 and hitting some skill checks, right?
Oh, absolutely. And let's be honest, this corrupt spawn is absolutely miserable for this killer right now. Like this is probably one of the worst corrupts you could have.
Yeah, a very unfortunate RNG for sure. Now, we are going to notice here only about 30 seconds left on that corrupt intervention. And then at this point there, we will be down to a 3 perk killer, 3 mystery perks. So worth mentioning, we haven't been able to expose any of those. So we aren't going to see any ruin or anything, which I think is kind of a safe play, I think, on a corn map because there aren't too many like hidden ruin spawns, right?
Usually the best ruin spots are the ones that are in the corn, but outside of that, no, everything's pretty set in stone. You know where to check. The survivors know the ruins. And right now, if you look, Hag's not really taking chase, like committing. Like you see your first hit there, but prior to that, not a whole lot otherwise.
Yeah, I would agree, right? the Hag playing what I think most people refrain from doing, which is overcommitting to the setup, which is nice. But you talked about it. Only one health state change. And as the survivors have more time to start attacking the outskirts of this of your gen spread out here, they're creating more of a dead zone to be able to just go out and have an easy reset point.
Yeah, I mean, these survivors doing very good about running in, activating the trap, running out, making the killer, teleport, but not getting any value from it. So, and good teleport there, but again, not really gaining much value out of that. I mean, we've already got 2 gens off the board. I would expect another gen and maybe another, like 2 gens going relatively soon here.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this generator here pretty well just past the 75% mark, not too much farther than that. We are going to see a dry kick there, which is interesting because you did allow your one injured survivor to build distance. We are going to see though you were able to locate the reset point, so you're putting a little bit more pressure, but you really need it down. And now you're teleporting to another survivor who is completely fully healthy again. So this chase is just really going on a long time. You really need to get yourself a hook, and you need to get it like 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, these survivors are doing good, coming in, and fresh survivors, not just injured ones, fresh ones coming in, taking aggro, and able to hold it long enough to make something happen. It seems like.
Now we are going to see here, Lunaris playing, I think, how a lot of people would around the main building, since you haven't gotten rid of any of your resources. Might as well put the trap down and make it so you just have no option but to leave. But that also means, as you can see looking around, we've actually had a lot of traps that have just gotten broken by our survivors running around and trying to get rid of any sort of map control that Lunaris is trying to start to get set up and just breaking it down completely.
These survivors doing really good about resetting also. Like, for a moment there, I think we had 2, maybe 3 injured, and then everybody was reset, and then we back to just 1 injured. So nobody's really staying injured either. They're just running around, triggering traps, and resetting. Insane play right now by the survivors for sure.
Yeah, I definitely would say that they're flexing their communication, right, and showing that they've had a really good strategy. Moving into here as far as the map awareness itself. Again, this is the home team right now currently out there on the survivor side, and you mentioned it being really quick on your resets. Also noticing that every generator that Lunaris has passed at this point has at least a decent amount of progress. So we're talking about a generator squad, oh my goodness gracious, a survivor squad that's doing a very good job of spreading that generator objective.
Can we coin Generator Squad moving forward? Because, I mean, that's what these survivors are doing right now. I mean, they are just banging out gens. They broke the 3 gen right there that we saw. Hag needs to get somebody down and just, I mean, ultimately camp it out is what it seems like it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it there. The at this point, you just are playing for an end game elimination, or even just an elimination off your first hook here, knowing that you have 3 generators left. You probably have 3 survivors spread up amongst the 3 of them, in case you see a situation like you have right here, where you happen to come over and push a survivor off of 1 generator. You still have your team getting that much closer to being able to work on the doors themselves here. And we are able to locate what was going to be a potential reset location over here at Cowtree. A relatively strong loop. Not too many traps down, I don't think, over here. We still also have the pallet up as well. But since we are seeing a trap going down, easy decision to go ahead and just break chase. And again, we're going to be teleporting over here to another healthy survivor.
The killer side of me is like, you just gotta stick with the chase. I mean, they're purposely, triggering traps, getting you to teleport. I mean, I know I've done it as a survivor. You want to draw that attention, and it's working. And this is smart, honestly. Take this chase. You're getting injured survivors. You need to stick a chase. I know you're gonna lose these gens. We already know this. So at this point, stick with 1, put them down.
Yeah, and I think, if anything, this Nia that we did just teleport to is the survivor that you have to stick to, knowing that she is probably going to be, I was going to say, throwing that pallet there, but instead actually a very nice dead hard, which is going to extend this chase even longer. And now moving towards the main building that we talked about heading into the matchup, a very strong tile, but a nice down, nice little reach. That's what the Hagatha is known for right there. And that is going to be hook number 1, but there's the pallet.
Oh my goodness. I heard those footsteps coming up, and I was like, no way they make it in time. Perfect timing. That's costly. Very costly.
And that's got to be, I mean, that's also a very big, morale like killer, right? You finally get your first down, and then you have the pallet save. Oh, plus 10 wood to the face right there as well. And we are going to see now breaking away, but this might not be the decision that you wanted to make, because I don't know if you'd heard it, but behind us across the map, that generator had a lot more progress than this one right here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that, as you said, that morale dropped, right? So now you're like, okay, I need to get back to my gens, but you don't really have gens to get back to. Like, one of them's going to get done. The way they're spread up, 2 and 2, and then when the killer goes away from it, you have no pressure on those other two. So now they're probably resetting or they're knocking out those gens, one of the two. But we saw a reset come in.
Yeah, and I can't help but wonder if maybe that last teleport was more of just a reactionary teleport, right? Like you're kind of used to Hag, not sure if maybe they have the scroll wheel technique going on, but we had definitely
True.
seen you were chasing a survivor that you had injured. You also had a gen that had a lot of progress, and I think you had seen at least one body back there, and unfortunately came over here where there's just the one person. So now we're going to see Lunaris here basically saying, hey, I know you got that last gen across the way, so I'm going to go ahead and start putting these traps down at the doors.
I mean, I've actually never seen a hack do that, like preemptively while the gens are still up. So that's actually not a bad play, to be honest. I mean, at this point, knowing that it's going to go into endgame.
The only bad news, though, is the only door we've seen around here is this one. And we do see, though, close to the rest of the blood web, a little set, or the blood web, but the trap web that we have set up as far as on that shack side of the map. But we're seeing, again, Chase coming down to this top side here. And this is where we were before. And then we teleported back just to come back over here and chase.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that definitely is going to come back, and it has come back to bite the hag, is that chase early. It didn't really set up a web, didn't really have pressure on the 3 gens you decided to choose to maintain, and instead we're taking chase in weird spots, and it's kind of throwing off the game for sure.
Now we are going to see Clay going down. This should be hook number 1 actually getting confirmed at this point. No more pallets around to worry about. We were able to face the wall even if there was a flashlight still in play. But however, there are, 3 completely healthy survivors, and I still can't help but imagine that generator, I was going to say across the way, has to be very, very close. And we are going to see now taking chase in the middle of the area, though. But keep in mind, actually, I want you to look at the right side of your screen, chat, because there's no haste status, but there was a no-ed brought in.
I was actually going to say, I wonder why that gen has not popped yet, and it looks like this team communicated to get all totems cleansed before they finish that gen done. So, again, more communication coming through from 6, as we said, just kind of showing, hey, when you get these done, we know what's coming.
Yeah, I think that really shows a lot of the experience and the knowledge, because you hadn't really seen any other perks yet, right? You had seen the Corrupt, you had probably seen maybe the Franklins, but if you know, hey, there's still 2 mystery perks. I know I haven't seen Pop, I haven't seen Ruin, I haven't seen anything else. There's probably a good chance at Noed, and since you were in that position where, you were only looking at 1 or 2 hooks this late in the trial, why not go ahead and cleanse? And maybe even seeing here with the door opening, maybe trying to see 6 get a little spicy here, because there is a door that's really close.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect that this situation, you don't have Noah anymore. I mean, this hook isn't a bad hook to have, but I would imagine a 3-man save like we're about to potentially see.
Yeah, and there's going to be the save. You can't help but figure that is probably a borrowed time. We are going to see the Claudette moving in for the body block here. There's the borrowed time in as well. Unfortunately, couldn't count that out. Just a couple more seconds probably would have rendered you actually being able to get that survivor down. And that is going to be all 4 survivors. 4-6 out the door. Very, very impressive for trial number 1.
Yeah, 6 came in, and as we said, you see why this is our home map. They came out, showed a very strong survivor effort. Killer never could get comfort, and was constantly on their heels. And 6 showing a very dominant performance so far.
And that's wow, talk about setting the tone. And this is important to keep in mind. This is 6 taking that lead coming out on the survivor side, right? Like, this is them doing that before even going into back-to-back killer trials here. So really setting the tone early.
Yeah, I mean, but one thing I do know is that Outlaws have played very well at Survivor. So that now they come in, and maybe if killer isn't their strength, their survivors should come back in and play very well. And I've seen them play very well. So,
Yeah.
you know, six is definitely going to bring the A game. I'm sure this next round just to kind of put a gap, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think Outlaws is done yet. I think they've still got 2 games to come in and show that they're here to play. Six is definitely going to play and can't overlook it.
So, with that being said, I think you brought up a very good point. I think you do see in trial number 2, your first killer set, I think you still bring out a strong killer. It's probably not going to be an S tier. This isn't a map where you can really flex your S tiers, right? But, bring out one of your stronger killers. And if you have yourself a good performance here, then you maybe bring out some stuff to trial around with in trial number 3, especially knowing that you've already put yourself in a good position for your last survivor set. At that point, you don't have to worry about flexing any of your hard killers.
So I don't know much about who's killing. Is it weird that I kind of want to see a clown?
Not at all. I am always happy to see my humongous humorous friend. And I feel like especially on a map like this, with I always feel weird saying rework because it's been so long since the clown rework, but with the ability now of the clown to be able to traverse the map with yellow smoke, it's very common that we do see when the clown is played, we're seeing that cigar box with it. So you're getting some extra aura reading, which is big to help with the corn blindness. So would also have the ability to shut down those bigger loops on the top side of the map as well with that tonic.
Well, it's funny because we talk about how mobility killers are pretty much our S tiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the mobility killers, if you think about it, for the most part, are top A to S, right?
Right.
But clown is like an anti-mobility. So, and on maps that are large, he could have that spread to slow down the survivor, so you can't utilize how big a map is. So it's kind of like a reverse psychology type play. But I mean, right now with 6 being up like they are, if you're confident that your clown can come in and get 6 stages,
Yeah.
you still put up a huge lead, right?
Yeah, that's a good point, especially if you can make sure with your 6 stages to get yourself a couple of eliminations after having 4 walk out the door, right? Even if you just get the 1 elimination and take those points away, because as we're going to talk about going to this next one, those points progress, and those later, the more escapes you get, the more points you get for those escapes. So if you get just 1 or 2, it's actually a very big point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's funny that we're talking about 6 only going for 6 hooks, but I definitely think that 6 is going to come out and play. I mean, to get more, of course, but if you're playing an M1 and this team comes out, Outlaws on the survivor side and plays very efficiently, it could be a situation where 6 is just going to try to secure a kill or 2 just to kind of prevent that huge point amount coming through.
And I do see that we're in here with our killer. I've gotten like 2 or 3 invite or two or 3 friend invites, so I want to make sure that we're getting the right people into our lobby here. But we should be moving into trial 2 here shortly. I gotta ask, what does the survivor squad do, knowing that you just saw the other team's survivor squad have, I mean, an immaculate game, right? It's got to be hard to like remove that from the back of your mind, knowing that you've got to try and, if not match it, at least keep it close, right? To a similar performance.
I mean, if I'm a survivor team, I'm coming in, okay, we kind of have our win condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, you're kind of breaking down 2 matches, right? So you want to turn this as best as you can into, okay, they got round 1, right? Okay, well, this is Mortal Kombat. We get 2 rounds, so let's try to bounce us out, and so that way we can go into that next set, right, of games and see if we can't just make it a 1-set game opposed to all 4. So I would expect the survivors are like, you know what? We're confident. We got this. We know what our win condition is. We just got to play perfect. So I'm going to expect a lot of pre-thrown pallets. And with that mindset, made me think of something. I know that 6 has some good killers that can play M2 killers. So do you see killers that are very anti-pallet, like pre-throwing pallets? So, like, if you come to a pallet and you pre-throw it, you pay for it. Like,
Something like
I almost
a
expect
executioner, you think?
well, if it I won't say execution just because I feel like if Washed was killing, I'd call P-head, right? Because I feel like that's kinda what I see with Washed, but maybe a Huntress,
Okay.
able to throw over a lot. I mean, a good majority of the middle of the map loops here. Um, the jungle gym's not so much, but I mean, if you've got a confident one, I would say go for a Huntress with 6 stages here.
Yeah, I always get intrigued by when teams go for the Huntress pick in a league like this because you're only going to get to use her twice. And while I do think you bring up some good points as to why she could do good on this map, I feel like I could probably name 4 or 5 other maps I would prefer to bring her on to know that I have a better chance of having some better results. So, and I think that's one of the interesting things about the way Vigos is set up here, right? With some of the home fields like this one, where really you don't want to bring out the strongest of killers because you'd rather get your most benefit out of them elsewhere. So we're seeing more of the M1s, which I think, again, brings in more of an element, right?
Oh yeah, always. I mean, when you know what you can do on this map or whatever map you're going to, you get a little bit more comfortable on what killers can do what where. And so I'm sure they've got somebody in their pocket that we're gonna be like, oh well, that makes sense, you know. So before we load in, who you calling?
You know what? I am going to say Nemesis because I've been enjoying watching Nemesis, and I wanted to throw something completely curveball at you.
Not a bad choice, honestly. Not a bad choice. If you got a good one with a good infection rate, zombies got pressure.
I mean, we saw Slow had an amazing game with Nemi yesterday on Father's Campbell's Chapel, and could be a good bring out here. We are going to see 4 bloody blue point, a cut coin. We are going to see Outlaws of the Fog needing to stack up some points on the Survivor side here. So let's go ahead and talk about how it is they put those points on the scoreboard.
All right, as a Survivor, you already know. 2 gens, open the door, get out. 1 and 2 gen, 1 point each. 3 and 4 gen, 2 points. 5th gen, 3. So you want to complete all 5 gens, get your max points, right? And then escapes. As you get more and more survivors escaping, you get more and more points. So if you are a killer, you want to deny that 4th escape on every level because that swing, as we talked, is insane. Escaping with an extra hook state means you get an extra point, right? So if you've only been hooked once and you've got that extra hook state before death, you do have the potential to get out with extra points. So more insight on the rules, !rules in the chat.
That is right, and we are still looking at a loading screen here. The loading screen simulation is always what builds up the anticipation the most because it's like when you see it's like when you're circling the landing strip when you're in the air, right? Like on a flight, like that last 5 minutes sometimes seems to be the longest 5 minutes. The same thing with like these last 15 seconds.
You're like, I'm at my destination. Just let me get out of the plane now.
Right.
No, the
Until
lobby
you touch
simulator is
down.
best. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, loading in. I'm ready for this.
I'm excited to see, and we are going to see the best puppy, a demo dog. I like it. Demo dog has a lot of ability to traverse the map, especially because you can set up as you go, and it's not the type of setup where the hag where you just run over it and you break the traps. Those things stay there a while until they decide to actually break them apart. So you kind of keep those abilities there. Now, worth noting though, you have 2 survivors that you've been able to find around the main building here. Really like the decision to open up that backside. And you mentioned we're going to start seeing a lot of the pre-throwing of the pallets, especially from the Jeff there, TTV Vigo's court. He's probably the one that's going to be the easy out here. So definitely good news for the killer to find Jeff first.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in conversations with Vigos himself, and all he screams is pre-throw pallet, pre-throw pallet. So, and look at coming in for the body block. So they're playing it smart, but at the same time, I don't know if you noticed. Did you see that corrupt spread yet again? The killer gets absolutely wrecked by RNG.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that you see very often on this map, just because the gen spread is rather unique. It's not like a lot of maps where you have like 3 on the top side, 3 on the bottom side, 1 in the middle. You kind of have gens all over the place, which does also cause your you to get the kind of corrupt we're looking at here. But we are going to see traversing the upside down there, trying to put some pressure across the map. We are going to get that aura reading there, trying to get some help. Unfortunately, not able to get the shred, but what we are going to see here with the damage to that generator, we're going to see those orange sparks. That is going to be Phil earning regression with every hook because of that pop goes the weasel. And that's kind of a big deal, especially because we saw, last game, the survivors are usually able to bang out gens pretty quick on this map.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know if you saw it too. It was a missed skill check before the pop. So not only did it regress 25%, regressed another 10 with that missed skill check. So extra value on the missed skill check. And I mean, you've still got 5 gens up with the hook. Pressure is definitely in Demo's favor right now.
And we do see that Phil was able to come back, disrupt the resetting point here as well. And I think might be making a little bit of a mistake here. I understand going for the fresh hook. You have one person being now also being hooked at this point. But had you continued to follow up on the Jeff and get them down, they would have then at that point been able to be tunneled out and moving it to a 3v1. And anybody who's played Dead by Daylight knows how different the strategy and how much different the game is once you remove the first survivor.
Oh, absolutely. When it's 3v1 as a killer, you're like, I got this. I don't care if you get gens done or not. I'm still going to come out on top. So, I mean, you're seeing really good awareness and map, like just map awareness, where to go. Demo knew exactly what side, what gens to go to, was able to get that pop on that very, I mean, in my opinion, a key gen, right? Kind of middle-ish. But then you see Jeff and Chase again, which is not really who you want to see if you are Outlaws.
Right, yeah, especially because that would be Jeff being one step closer to being removed from the trial, since that is one of your 2 survivors that's been hooked. And it's also not your strongest looper either, so you'd probably would like to see somebody else come in and maybe take a body block and take some aggro. That way you can have Vigo's court over there doing what he's best at, more holding M1 on a gen and hitting some skill checks. But we are going to see Phil now coming over here, traversing the upside down, getting that value there, right, again, from the aura reading, knowing you have someone relatively close, and I think that was an injured survivor.
It was, and they say there's no barbecue in comp. I'm looking at it right now. All the value of where everybody was at. And can I say I really thought you were going to do a Linkin Park quote with that one step closer to the edge, and then you didn't do it. And I felt let down. I was like, oh, give it to me, give it to me. But I mean, getting injures and staying in chase, I don't know if there's a smart place to run if you're that Claudette. You're running towards the gen that's about to pop.
Yeah, interesting, right? Because it is close, and if you do go down, it makes it that much easier to put that player on a hook and then get that instant 25% regression. We are going to see, though, that Yunjin Lee did happen to hit the window, and it was really, really fast because life is indeed life, and going to be able to make enough distance to get away. And now at this point, really needing a down. But even if you get a down, you have to figure out which of these 2 gens you're going to apply the pop to, because both of them, it sounds like, have that 4th piston going.
Well, the fact that we haven't heard a gen pop in quite a good amount of time. Oh, incredible shred for that window. That's huge. They need to finish that gen. Oh my goodness, so much going on in that one little corner. Impressive. But I mean, you're hoping that you hear another gen pop, and there it was.
Yeah, that's tough. That's going to be the other one that was over in this corner. So even after, oh no, that's not the one that was in this corner. So that means even this corner, this gen also very far along. Now, luckily, you are bringing this survivor over here, so maybe you'll be able to apply that pop goes the weasel in time. Yeah, we're actually going to see that's with the pop goes the weasel. That's actually going to knock it down to around 50%. So a little bit of time there, but still quite a bit of progress on that one gen. We're going to see coming over here. No auras or anything over this way, but a lot of progress on this gen too. Our survivors doing a very good job of being extra efficient on these generators.
Can you see that gen spread? They have this, I mean, almost the 4 points of this map, like 4 corners. I mean, it's insane how widespread they have got these gens done. They did everything in the middle, and everything around the outskirts is still up. So they have got good pressure, and 2 different gens with around 50%, if not more. So they're definitely putting pressure on this demo right now.
And we are going to see we're able to come back and disrupt the reset once again. And I do think at this point, I believe Wakanda has not been hooked, so definitely a good decision to continue onto Legum here. knowing that they did just come off of the hook, but that is going to be a nice dodge there by the Claudette. And now we're going to that portion of the map we talked about heading into this matchup. Normally not too much back here, maybe just one filler pallet. Unfortunately for Claudette, the filler pallet was not in that set of hay bales, and that's going to be a down here. And even though they were just on a hook, no decisive strike, and that is going to be hook number 4 altogether, but hook number 2 onto Lagum.
I was going to say, hopefully Claudette running to that back corner was going to give them another gen to pop, but now we kind of know which gen they're going to go towards, and it looks like there they are, running to it.
Yeah, and I actually realized I had lost track of my hook count on Lagum. That's actually Lagum being removed from the trial, so now down to the 3v1, and you did hear over that generator where we did come out of the upside down. Had a decent amount of progress. So our survivor squad has done a pretty good job, at least as far as on this one here. It looks like, what, about 50%? However, we are going to see Phil here. With that pop goes the Weasel back down to 25. And at this point, you're kind of just on generator duty, right?
Oh, yeah. As Demo is incredible.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow, that was a great finish of that gen, but it does cost you. Wakanda being the one you didn't want to get hooked, getting hooked. And now, I mean, Demo can really do whatever they want at this point. Like, you've got all 4. I thought I saw a No Way Out proc. Was I correct in that?
Yeah, you saw a No Way Out proc. Unfortunately, you weren't able to get the 3rd hook in, which would have bought you some more time. But we did see as soon as our Demo puppy decided to traverse the upside down, that was actually a deliverance coming in there. That's going to be a down onto Polish Potion. I do believe Polish Potion is also the other last fresh hook survivor, which does mean they have some hang time. But we are going to see that this survivor is going to be relatively close to the 1 hook, or close to the 1 door, but actually has a pretty good vantage point over the 2 doors, as well as that totem, if we're being quite honest.
Yeah, and as you see, thankfully to that built-in barbecue, you do see a door getting open. I expect these survivors to try to leave, honestly. Yeah, I would expect it just because at this point, oh, and they went for the save. They are getting brave and going for the save. Now, which door do they go out? Do they go out through the one open? I don't see any progress on that other door. They need to make a decision quick. And if somebody goes down, I think, I mean, who do you want to take that down?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question because I believe that actually both of these would yield you essentially the same result here as far as your point spread. But you actually see coming through the upside down, one of them is already over here. I'm not sure if they've been able to get both of them. You talked about them playing bold. They kind of needed to, knowing that they are in a lead. Now I can't help but wonder if Polish Potion happened to go for the other door and trying to 50-50 them. We do see coming the upside down. I'm not sure if that was through a door or through the hatch, but that is going to be 3 escape. And that is a really good pushback after what we saw, a really good survivor performance from 6.
Yeah, I mean, and we called it. I mean, 6 stages is not a bad showing for a demo. The one mistake was right there at the very end. Phil had both survivors on that door. When he came out of that teleport, you saw both auras running towards that door, and he saw the ace, but did not see, what was it, the Yoon running towards that door. So that's really, that's what caused, I would say, an 8-stage game.
Yeah, and
from happening.
Yeah, we do see, if we had found Wakanda right after the deliverance, that would have probably been the D strike as well. So that would have probably just been more time wasted. So it actually kind of worked out in Bill's advantage there, but unfortunately not really able to use that time as far as efficiently to get some extra hook states, because you were able to, or as we did see, the survivors were able to get 3 out.
Yeah, and you know what? Great job by the survivors. I really thought they were going to leave the 1 on hook and just take the 2 out. I mean, it's a smart play. Not a bad position, but going in and getting that unhook, huge point swing for them. So, as we said, the survivors need to come back in and make a play, right? You didn't quite get that three hook range that you were wanting, but to put up only 6 or give away only 6 and only a 1K, I would take that if I'm the survivors.
100%, right? Because yeah, you weren't quite able to duplicate, but you're able to minimize what the point difference is heading into set number 2 here. And is that a nightlight I see in our chat there? The iconic, the one and only. I hope you see I've got the clown out just for you, my friend.
And we love a good clown around here. I heard you talking about a Nightlight Clown coming into the finals, right?
Oh, I was hoping to see a Nightlight Clown. Unfortunately, not. But if we don't get a
Imagine.
Nightlight Clown in our next tournament, I think we might need to revolt.
I'm down for that. I'm down for that. An active player and watcher of that. Yeah, I agree.
Now we are at the point here where we're talking at halftime. So I know we had some people maybe come in and know what map we're actually on, but let's talk as far as the specifics, kind of break down the map. What does that actually mean for our teams here?
So that's Torment Creek, as we know, fairly large map. Gen spread's very nice. 7 hook minimum, 12 hook maximum, 6 is home. I'm sure they know exactly how to play this map because you do have that top side that can be very 3 gen heavy, but ultimately a very survivor sided map in my opinion, and you have to be able to traverse quickly. So I can definitely see why they chose, with how good they played that last round or that first round, why they wanted this to be their home map. So
Yeah, I mean,
Torment
also
Creek.
the other thing too to keep in mind was since they did do so well in the qualifier, it was kind of well, whatever's left on the table. I guess we'll pick the best of what's left, right?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, me personally, I am my favorite map being Dead Dog. I would have been like fighting for that one. But yeah, I definitely would never have picked Torment. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
So now here, going into what we're talking about, trial number 3, a 15-point lead. You've built yourself a decent little lead. Do you think here's where we see our killer for 6? Maybe try one of the more, I guess you could say, off meta, less strong killers here?
I don't know. I think that 6 needs to bring another decent killer. Demo gave a very good outcome, as we expected, with 6 hooks, right? And you got to kill. Outlaws showing that they know how to play Survivor. I mean, prime example, Vigos should have been out of the game fairly soon and was able to stay in the game, and escape. And then you have a 3 escape out when it should have been a 2 escape. So they came to play. They showed that their survivors can hang. So I would expect the same thing happening again.
Listen, I am having a hard time looking at chat and seeing Nightlight talking about how the best and NA shouldn't be in the same sentence. I understand that the EU scene's very strong, sir, but I'm gonna need you to watch your mouth when you come in here, okay? We would greatly No, but we do appreciate everyone that is coming in here. It does look like oh no, okay. It looked like actually Lagum was just making sure that the crossplay was enabled, so we are going to be re-getting our lobby back together. But again, moving into trial number 3 here shortly. Who do you want to see brought out as a killer?
Legion.
Yeah?
So the funny thing is, I actually absolutely, for the longest time, could not stand Legion because I don't feel his power or their power is lethal. There's no lethality in their power. So a good team can make a Legion pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Legion is one of the most annoying killers to play against at the same time, and you never see him in comp, ever. And there's a reason for it. But because people don't see him, there is a thought process that maybe you could do the same things with the Legion if you bring. I think he's allowed Eerie Button in this rule set. So
I would have to double check, but I think so.
So you throw that in there, and you're able to break pallets quickly, gain distance quickly. I want to see a Legion. Put a little bamboozle on there, flare it up a little bit. Why not?
Hold on, let me put on the top hat. I'm sorry, Nightlight. All right, I am keeping the Santa Claus outfit though because it's Christmas. You're just gonna have to deal with it.
So I personally run the new pumpkin outfit on Clown with the Santa Claus beard, so I respect it.
I would though. You talked about maybe even a clown on this map could be fun. I do still really like seeing the 2 killers that are still relatively new to competitive. I think both could be relatively viable on this map, being Nemesis and Xenobite. And if we get both of them in the last 2 match, I'm just I mean, I'm gonna have to show up for 9 o'clock, but I'm gonna be a happy boy. I won't have any expectation.
Yeah, I think we would see a Nemi here over the 2, just because with Cenobite, you do have that corn blindness that can be a major factor, right? Whereas Nemi, you just got to look for those outlines and you're able to make plays. Um, so I would definitely expect more of a Nemi than a Cenobite. Just in my thought process on Killer, you got to use that M2, and yeah, there's a lot of surveillance, but how are you able to survey when you've got no vision because of the corn?
And we're doing a quick confirmation, I believe, of everything in the background, it looks like. And then we should be moving quickly into trial 3 here. We talked about the map, right? As far as the breakdown of it. I have a question for you.
Okay.
So we had mentioned in that, I think it was the last trial, we talked about that kind of off to the side, but it was more middle-ish. With the gen spread being the way it is, do you even worry about going past and into that main building side, knowing that you have the middle and everything around Shack? Because I feel like we're seeing a lot of chases that get prolonged around that main building there.
So with the main building, right, if you don't break that door, it's an infinite, period, right? You could run a killer for 4 or 5 gens at this level if they don't break that door. So as a killer, yeah, you kind of do want to take your chases down around Shack, because I feel like there's more dead areas around Shack opposed to main. But the ones on main are so non-traditional loops that killers that practice on traditional loops struggle sometimes, right? So I mean, that's why I think this map for killer is absolutely horrendous. It's awful, right? Because you really don't win no matter which side you take. Do you go, let me run Shack, or do I go run main here?
Right.
And unfortunately, if you got a team that knows how to utilize main, they're going to extend some chases, or they're going to rotate in for body blocks, or there's a lot of areas in that main building where survivors can kind of sneak in to get in that pathing to take that hit, so that way you don't see it down real quick.
Yeah, the only reason I couldn't help but, bringing that up, because I feel like, again, I feel like we've seen both killers spending a lot of more time on the top side there and a lot more elongated chases. I just can't help but wonder if maybe spending more time on that bottom side might result in like quicker downs. But of course, that also requires the survivors to be over there too. So,
I mean, to be fair, both survivor teams though have had very good run. So it's not like the killer isn't putting them down quick. The survivors are just playing very well in chase. You're not really seeing a whole lot of mistakes. I couldn't call really any off the top of my head that were bad mistakes. Survivors aren't really going for mind games. Like, if they go down just because of bloodlust, right? And typically when you go down to bloodlust, it's because you ran the killer long enough to make it happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And, especially here, on Torment Creek, because once you start depleting like some of the resources, it's kind of easier to build up that like bloodlust on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, on this map, the players almost just kind of allow them to use the resources and just break them. So that way, come that end game, you're able to not have to worry about having to break pallets or play around a pallet. You're able to just keep going through the loop.
So again, intriguing to see what's coming out here. I'm going to stick to my guns, though. I'm still calling a Nemi again, mostly because I'm really hoping to will it into existence. I want to see more Nemesi?
Nemesi?
Is this like a fish thing where it's the same when it's plural? I don't know. Anyways, we're going to see. We've got 4 bloody blue point, the cut point as well. Let's talk about some of our ban rules, shall we?
All right, as any rule set, you do have some bans that are active. So in the builds, yellow items and add-ons, only 1 use of each perk and item. Duplicate BT is allowed, which is kind of a standard. The banned perks, however, are your gen rushing builds, right? With your prove thyself build to last, I'm kidding. And then, of course, more of your exposed bans with the Haunting Ground, the Starstruck. And man, unfortunately, you do want to see that Lethal Pursuer, but it happens because I did want to see a Lethal Pursuer, Billy. But I get it, I understand. But, one survivor per trial, so no 4 Dwights and 1 locker, unfortunately. Just kidding. But violations are subject to penalties. If you have any questions about the rules, exclamation mark rules in the chat.
Exciting stuff. And keep in mind our killer coming out here, 6, is looking at a little bit of a lead. This is going to be I'm really intrigued to see what comes out here, mostly just for the fact that like if they've got some freedom to try some interesting things here, whether it be a different build than you're used to seeing on a typical killer or it being a new killer altogether. But we're finally loaded. Let's go, chat. And we are back here, and it does look like we are going to go with more of the typical style killer. It is going to be the Huntress. I do like the play here. You are going to notice, looking around the map, of course, that corrupt intervention. And, this is the 3rd trial, and can't help but notice yet again, almost that weird, you can still consider it kind of that weird split corrupt, right?
Oh, absolutely. That corrupt is, again, I mean, is there really a good corrupt on this map? Let's be honest, right? Every corrupt we've seen so far has been horrendous. I mean, just awful. So, I don't know, but you do see Survivor has been spotted fairly quickly, which is not what you want to see against the Huntress this early.
Yeah, and we do see already also missing skill checks as well. Sometimes M1s do be hard. If I had to bet money on who it was missing the skill checks, that must have been TT V Vigo's court over here working on that one. But we are going to be going into the actual jungle gym itself. We've located some scratch marks. Not able to locate an actual survivor yet itself. It does look like, though, the survivor itself moving towards the actual cow tree. Very strong loop, but instead actually holding W. Shift W for the win. Actually, we've got 2 survivors over here by cow tree. This are by Shaq here, and that's going to be a over here where you can't be working on any objective. Kind of interesting to be finding survivors over here this late in the trial.
Yeah, I'm really confused, I guess, on what the survivors' decisions are to be back over there. Maybe they're just are they trying to hide out corrupt? Maybe get in a position to hide it out while they've got 2 on the top side, 2 on the bottom side. Keep it separate so that way they're able to rotate around. But very unusual. But then as you see, come back up to main and you've got 2 more. So another chase yet again at main.
Yeah, now at this point, since it's been so long since the start of the trial, ooh, gets done, stupid, plus 10 wood to the face. At this point, we're talking about only 10 more seconds left until Corrupt Intervention is off of those gens, and all of the remaining 6 at this point in the trial are uncovered. Worth mentioning, though, Corrupt Intervention, oh my goodness gracious, another plus 10 wood to the face. I need you to make sure you're watching where you're sticking your head because we've still got some time and we don't pay any insurance for concussions here.
No, we don't, unfortunately. I mean, this Huntress is definitely feeling those pallet stuns. I mean, you saw one where they should have went for an M1 and instead tried to go for an M2, took a pallet to the face, and then this one here, Claudette running this pallet fairly well for being kind of a trash loop, to be honest with you. And then you hear that gen on the mid or in main still pumping, another survivor running off in the distance to one of those other gens. There's a lot going on, and this Huntress is still opting to take chase with this Claudette.
Yeah, we are now going to be leaving and going further away from that generator that has a lot of progress on it. So it's going to be interesting, though. We only had 1 generator pop, and can't help but think that our 3 survivors that aren't the Claudette probably split it up amongst 3 gens. Wouldn't be surprised to see a pair of gens pop relatively close together. Just hopefully, the gen that is closest is going to be blocked. So you're spreading that pressure so you can really kind of get closer to getting out the door. Oh my goodness gracious, this one over here has a lot of progress too.
They are zooming along. You've got 2 gens that are well over that 75% mark. You might hear 3 gens pop in the net. There we go. What did I call? Another gen, not one of the ones we just saw. So this Huntress needs to down quick to get any type of pressure for this match right now.
Yeah,
and opting to play M2 only.
Yeah, interesting, right? And we're also going to see here, though, we see those, the auras. Ooh, and another plus 10 wood to the face. Yo, I need you to go ahead and do me a favor. I need you to stop putting that face right up against the pallets because I'm even starting to get a little hurt from this one. We're still going to continue this chase here, and keep in mind, it's been a while since we've seen the gens pop. We had the one in the main, as well as this other one over here, and that's going to completely break up this 3 gen that you have here on the top or bottom side of the map. Top side of the map, sorry.
And then as you look over there in the distance, you do see a deadlock. So you've got a gen that's covered and another gen that's almost done right there. I mean, is there any gen that they're not working on? It feels like all of them have a tremendous amount of pressure on this Huntress right now. I mean, if I'm the Huntress, I'm definitely sweating right now. I need to go for some major plays and get it down.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about it. You were coming into this trial, you did have yourself a decent lead, but you do not want to let off of the gas. The good news is, if you even just secure one elimination, that is a relatively big point swing, knowing that you have a pretty good lead, but now going for more of the Scott Juntress, just holding the hatchet back and still not being able to land those either. Now going around the short wall here at the cow tree, and at this point, it looks like probably just going to try and build up bloodlust for an M1. Instead, though, going to get a hatchet across the actual pallet itself, but we're still working at a very, very strong pallet area. And, you know, we've got 3 survivors and only 1 generator left to go.
Yeah, and I mean, you see that one still
Oh,
deadlock. Oh, even with deadlock, you still see a gen get done. And if I'm these survivors, I'm sitting here thinking we could potentially 4 out without a single hook if we come over and take these body blocks.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough, right? Because we did see that No Way Out proxying across the way, but since we had not been able to secure a hook, No Way Out really not being that much time, we are going to see a hatchet play here, going to be changing 1 health state, but we have not yet seen a down. The good news for you right now, at least as far as for the survivors, is where the survivor is running at is kind of away from some doors, which means you are probably priming both of those doors here. And we do now actually see Claudette making a little bit of distance. And we've now got a body block moving in here, and you really, no, you need to throw that right now. Oh, and that's a miss. That's not what you wanted. This is going to be all 4 out the door, and you weren't able to secure a single hook. This is huge.
Wow. What did we say? Outlaws need to come out and let their survivors shine, and what do they just do?
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. I think 6 definitely could have put up a much better score with that Huntress, but just as I said earlier, if you don't hit your M2s, you will lose.
That's I'm speechless. I don't know what to even there are no words. That was just, and it was very much you continue to rotate because you're like, oh man, this one's a really strong looper, so let me go over and maybe see if I can find the weak link. And you mentioned it, right? Like, we've seen very good performances from Outlaws survivors here, and they just seem to get everything right that last trial.
I was actually shocked because all 4 survivors were on that one door. So to have one, like that communication, that execution, absolutely insane. Like we were talking about 6 being that well, you know, versed in communication and getting people around the map and doing what they need to do. And then you just saw Outlaw absolutely kill it. I would be willing to say that the survivors were the killer in this match.
And, you know, that's tough. You know, definitely going to be riding a very nice high heading into the 4th and decisive trial. Also knowing that you're going to be coming out here on the killer side where you do have more points available. And with knowing that you do have a couple of point lead here, or is that just a 1 point lead? My eyes are very bad.
That's 11-point lead right now.
11 point. Oh, it's bigger than I thought. Okay. So you do have a pretty good lead here. The big thing that you're going to need to make sure is that as far as on the killer side, if you can remove, I think at least 1 and get, I think it's like 1 or 2 more hook states, you're perfect. You've met your qualification.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm Outlaws, I put 1 survivor down and camp it out.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Or at least camp them to 2nd, right? Because it's what, 60 seconds, right, for 1 health state. So, ideally, that's only 1-2 gens if they get on it. If you get that down quick, so you'll probably lose 3 gens realistically. And then you just got to tunnel that survivor out and hope for the best, right? So maybe 1K, 3 hooks. Hopefully, you can rotate in to get another 1 to 2 hooks from another survivor. But yeah, I mean, Outlaws survivors came in and just gave their killer a huge comfortability gap.
Do you see a basement Bubba come out here maybe?
I mean,
I heard through the
would not be bad.
I heard through the grapevine it was Basement Bubba month.
True. That is very true. Insidious Basement Bubba has been a very popular one on the airwaves, but I don't know. something tells me that I think Outlaw has a little bit more pride to come out and play it that way, you know? I mean, it's competitive, so, they wanna come out and actually, try and get some kills. Uh, so I I don't know what this killer can bring. I don't know who they're gonna bring, but I just wanna say I did call a Huntress getting brought on this map.
Yeah, you did call the Huntress, and unfortunately, not the result you would hope to get from a Huntress. And now, here's a question I have for you. As the survivors, you came out, you gave your team a good lead. You are now needing to basically duplicate that in trial 4, right? What's the conversation that you were having amongst your team preparing for the decisive trial here?
If I'm 6, they are fully capable of putting up the same type of match that these survivors just had against that Huntress, against Outlaws. Absolutely. 6 has proven that they can come back and win. And I've seen them do it. So I fully expect them to come in and just play very safe, as we talked about, which is what you saw Outlaws do. Play very safe and just kind of. I mean, unfortunately, here they don't really have another game to play into, whereas Outlaws was able to. You know what? We're not going to do it all in one match. We're going to take a little bit off in that first match, and then they came in and took it all back in one match. But still, point being, they had that extra match. So I think here 6 plays safe and tries to just kind of, depending on what perks the killer brings, maybe slow play it on the gens, so that way no survivor really goes down unnecessarily.
Do you think maybe see them actually try and go for more of like we had seen, I think it was Vigo's court doing trial 2, try and do like the wait out method during the corrupt portion?
Maybe. And if not waiting out, just pre-leaving, pre-throwing, just everything. I 100% expect that 6 will know where this killer is at on the map every moment of this trial, because they cannot afford to take unnecessary hits or downs.
Haha, but will they know where the killer's at if he's invisible? Oh.
I mean, Wraith has good potential if you know how to play Wraith very strong, and utilize that cloak in the right ways, block windows, block pallets. Like if you can get a good Wraith to do that, I mean, it spells easy downs, but nonetheless, 6 is fully prepared. I don't doubt that this match is going to come down to the wire.
Oh, 100%. And, especially because, 6's Survivor squad has been very consistent, right? As far as being able to be, especially on the Survivor side, just being able to put up impressive performance after impressive performance. And even to the point where it just seems like they probably, even though they're in communications, it's almost like they don't need the communications because they're just always where they need to be, and there's an even flow,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Outlaw just had probably one of the better Survivor rounds I've ever seen, right? And Vigo's. And they came out and did what they needed to do. Now 6 is going to come out, and I think they're going to do exactly the same thing. They're going to come out. They're going to make a play. I expect this to be decided by, I'd say, 5 points.
Yeah. And I love seeing that it seems like a lot of our matchups have been like that recently. I think it shows a lot of parity in the league, which is nice because then it really does kind of give it that like any given Sunday sort of feel at any time, whether somebody's at home or on the road. It doesn't matter. You better bring your A game or you're dropping an L.
Yeah, big facts. I mean, it's just I like it when the 4th game means something. You know what I mean? Like, you want to see, all right, the killer knows what they got to do. Okay, the survivors know what they got to do. Like, let's see who goes out and executes that plan. And to me, that's the excitement in it, right? When you want that competitive edge. Like, and who's out here saying that comp TBD isn't a real thing? Like, come on.
Yeah,
This right here is why it is, because like, look at the situation we're in. One team looked like they were going to come out and take it, and now they fought right back, and here we are, last trial, and all the marbles are on the line. Let's see who. I'm excited. Like, this is what it's about.
Yeah, I'm excited. You mentioned it coming down to the wire. And also, too, it's fun watching. You see, especially even like in chat, we see some familiar names and seeing the community come together. And I think some people have this perception that like the comp scene is like this toxic environment or anything where we do see Vigo's Court, DBE, DBD League all proving time and time again that it's really just people coming together and having fun playing one of their favorite video games, just throwing a couple extra rules on top.
Hey, I'll be the first one to tell you a little bit of razzle dazzle to the other team is expected in competitive sports. So if you consider that toxic, then maybe playing sports wasn't for you, right? I grew up playing sports and I always loved talking a little bit of trash. It fired me up. But at the end of the game, you walk over, you shake hands, GG's, talk about the match, no hard feelings, and then you just go on to the next game, right? So that's what I've experienced with Comp DBD. I've enjoyed every bit of it. I've enjoyed being a part of it. I expect it the same here, but this game right here, we're about to see, are we going to see Kobe in the fourth? Are we going to see LeBron come down and slap that block off the backboard to close the game out? What are we going to see here?
Or are we going to see LeBron get carted off because of cramps? Okay, sorry, I couldn't help but throw that jab in there. But we are going to load into trial number 4, Bloodied Blueprint, 1, 2, 3, 4, cut coin as well. We talked about ban rules, but let's go ahead and cover what happens as far as the penalty rules if we happen to have any of those occurrences.
Basically, chat, do not break the rules. Do not break the rules. Game may be played out, restarted, or both. So if you break a rule, there is that option to do that. 2 of the same survivor, don't do it. Ban perk, item, or add-on, don't do it. -5 points possible restart, don't do it. Ultimately, read the rules, follow the rules, otherwise you will see a penalty on your points. So also respect the people that are running this, okay? Your refs, your mods, your announcers, your shoutcasters, all the above. And then do it quickly. So, !rules in the chat for more.
I love it. And we actually have a quicker load up time this time. And it looks like our squad here knows that they're in a sticky situation. And we're bringing out the nurse, knowing that you're up against Six's Survivor Squad. I actually like this pick. Should be interesting.
Do you think Cup of JoJo talked to Nightlight before loading in this match? Because, a nurse, okay. We're about to see a show, hopefully.
Yeah, I like it. Especially, I think part of this is showing a respect for Six's Survivor roster, knowing that maybe this map isn't exactly a map where you can get the most utility out of your nurse, but knowing that you are going up against a Survivor squad like Six, hey, you know what? I know that they are a very strong Survivor squad. Oh yeah, they're going back behind the shack there, homie. You have to let them build up a little bit of distance. But this chase is going to be big because, I was going to say there's ruin that needs to be found, but the ruin's already been found there, and we're 60 seconds into the corrupt intervention being gone as well.
Yeah, everybody knows the best way to beat a nurse, just hold W. And that's exactly what they're doing. And this nurse has got to get this down quick if they want to start building that lead that they've built from their survivors.
We are going to see, though, Cup of Joe continue to stay engaged in this chase here with Clay. I understand that this is obviously a longer chase, and a lot of people would probably say break chase and go ahead and make sure you're putting pressure elsewhere. But keep in mind, if you do break chase and you're getting chases elsewhere, you're going to have to take 2 swings in order to put them down on the ground. But, oh, my good. Did you see how fast that heal came in on Clay there?
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but Clay was healing by that loop on the backside of Shack while Nurse was trying to locate where Clay was. So that heal was started, and then once lost that line of sight, just continued to get the heal.
And that's going to be tough here because basically you're still in the same chase and you've changed the health state twice, but because there was such a delay and you allowed the self-heal with the med kit, you now have taken 3 hits to get somebody on the ground, but we're probably going to see a 3rd gen pop across the way because of it.
And that down was costly because now you're going down to basement. You've got 3 gens that have popped, but I think that's not a bad position to be in. You've got a survivor right above you as you heard that skill check pop. Nurse is actually in a decent position to kind of hold on for a win if they need to.
Yeah, also noticing too here as Cup of Joe happened to come up and look around, you've actually got yourself a relatively good 3-gen down here on the bottom side of the map, as well as you do have that basement hook here. So Cup of Jojo definitely in a power position here, but I think that was 2 survivors we saw running away from that generator, while we also have a safe coming in here. So a lot of pressure coming out. You are going to see the hit onto Nia, which is good because there was probably a borrowed time, I would imagine. But the next 2 blinks need to be precise. They need to be confident. And that is going to be a down here
beautiful.
onto Clay. That was nice. Though, here's the question. Remember, Clay was the one that was just down in the basement and no decisive strike.
That's huge. That's really huge. I mean, if you could put this down, you've got 1 survivor injured. You know where most of them are going to go. They're probably on that gen. What is over at 9? Never mind. It's popped. So that's unfortunate because your 3-gen is now essentially broken, I think.
Yeah.
It looks like. Yeah. So, I mean, you just kind of got to find that injured survivor. That's ultimately the best bet right now.
Yeah, and the tough part here, too, you talked about that 3-gen being broken up, and now we're probably going to be seeing those survivors. I would imagine playing a little bit more passive here, making sure you get the reset onto the Nia, knowing that you have a relatively attainable win condition from the survivors, even if you allow the sacrifice here. Right now, we are going to see generator number 5 coming out. Team for 6 here. They're survivors. Again, showing why their survivor squad has been able to be so consistent and continue to put up these W's here. Unfortunately, though, Cup of Joe not able to get the blink right away because we did have a body burn coming on the backside from that flashlight. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to get the distance with that second blink there. Really nice.
I will say that the blinks from Cup of Jojo have been really clean when the line of sight is not broken. Otherwise, like, well played by 6, but that was some solid blinks back to back.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is kind of the reason we talked about coming into it, why we weren't expecting to see the S tier killers, right? Because even as we saw Cup of Jojo having a relatively strong, maybe not the strongest early game, but had a pretty good middle and late game and still struggling to put up the type of results that you really needed here in trial number 4. And that's going to be 3 fresh hooks now walking out the front door.
Oh, almost you needed to put down, I think, another survivor and get that hook. Because look at that score. If that score is accurate, that is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking from Outlaws.
Yeah, talk about like literally just giving it up, right? Like if you could have just pulled, basically you're talking about needing 1 more hook between your 2 trials, right? Even if you would have gotten the survivor who would have inevitably been able to get the deliverance because of that basement save, still would have been able to render you the points that you were talking about. And that's heartbreaking. A 1-point loss here after, honestly, 2 very impressive survivor performances to put yourself in a good lead.
Well, can we just take a moment and talk about that run from Clay?
Yeah.
If Clay does not have that run, that game does not go that way. Clay ran for 3 gen and was able to reset and then went down, and then that 4th gen popped. So Clay had an incredible run there at the end to help secure it for 6, right? We said they needed to come out and play like out of their mind, and look what they did. They came out, did exactly what they needed to do to secure that win. Whether it's 1 point or it's 10 points, a win's a win. May not have been pretty, but you know what? I would take an ugly win over a pretty loss.
Yeah, and I mean, that's tough. I mean, you talked about did exactly what you needed to do. I mean, literally from building the distance to being able to heal yourself, right? To make that first chase go just a little bit longer. I mean, that might have been the difference of only having 1 more hook, which would have meant this game goes the opposite way.
I mean, I saw a couple mistakes from that nurse that might have swayed it. Losing Clay on the backside of that shack, right over in that little long loop there with the tractor in the way on the pallet. But then also when they had the survivor on the hook and they were blinking that last gen finished, there was a survivor that was back in that corner that they blinked and did not see, that was running to the other door. So they overlooked a couple things that definitely would have swayed it in their favor, I think. But great job from both teams. I mean, good showing. Survivors, killers definitely need a little work, right? But survivors, insane.
Yeah, but definitely worth noting that I believe both of the teams that we're talking here are newer to the competitive scene, and that's kind of typical, right? You see the Survivor squad, the Survivor side of matchmaking, anyways, seems to kind of come together and tighten up first. I mean, you could even say the same thing as far as like with Arctic Wolves. They had Wispy originally until Wispy could essentially train a killer replacement, right? So I don't think either of these teams is very far from really getting everything pieced together, but was definitely fun to watch the two of them here today.
No, absolutely. And speaking of survivors, I mean, I think this is a
Yeah.
great segue. Who do we have sitting here in what is it in the waiting room with us?
Yeah, we got the interrogation room. We're moving
The
in, and we've
interrogation.
got
There we go.
Clay with us, who had that very impressive run in Trial 4.
Yeah, what's good, guys? How are you? How are you?
We're doing great. We just watched incredible matches from Survivor sides. So I just want to know, you're running Nurse, right? Which in comp DBD is terrifying because you never know what you're gonna get, right? And
Yeah.
what were your comms like in that moment?
I was primarily just telling them I'm staying bottom, and just like he honestly kept losing because of Iron Will, and I was just corn spamming because corn spam. But they got 3 gens done early for my first chase. It was really unfortunate because Ninny was actually by 5 gen right by the Shag pallet, and he could have like got the pallet save like when I was going to basement, but I didn't comment right. But
So
like the comms are pretty smooth.
I thought that there might be a pallet stun there. I had a feeling because I thought I heard somebody working on that gen, and I was like, I don't know if they'll get there in time. But
Yeah, I think we heard them come in late. I think we heard them come in late. I think that was just the unfortunate part, was maybe if they had moved just a little bit sooner, I think you actually get that pallet save there. But I mean, if that pallet save there happens, man, I can't even imagine how nuts the comms go at that point, right?
Yeah, I had my life back up to you, so it would have been huge.
Oh, I mean, let's be honest. In that situation, after putting together a run like that, the spirit of the nurse is broken. Like, as much as you want to, give credit to the nurse, like when you have a run that goes that long, and then you get pallet stun in Shack when you could have had a basement hook. Oh, painful. So talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on against the Hag in game 1. Like, I was watching a lot of very well planned out run over to trigger the trap and run away.
Well, yeah. I think that's one of like the weak parts about Hag is you don't have to be so close to trigger her traps. So it's kind of just like somebody paying attention to where the traps are, and then the other two people doing the gens. And usually Hags don't run like the most slowdown, so you can play slow, just take hits and run top. And that's kind of what we just did. We were just talking to each other the whole time. Everybody was maxed out on ultras, and it was gonna last a long time, so we were just okay with it. I just kind of tasted net, so that's kind of why it went down.
Hey, I've been there for that. Believe me, I've been chainsawed with Billy, and I was on one side of the wall, and they were on the other side. So I definitely understand pain in that. But and then solid performance, right? Both your Survivor games, which I knew you guys could bring to the table. Tell me a little bit about your thought process with the killers you brought. Like, you brought in a demo, which I thought played very well, and then you go into the Huntress game, which made it a little bit scary coming into that 4th trial.
Well, Bear got no killer practice whatsoever at all. He kind of just said, I'm going to play Huntress, and we were like, just go for it, and it just didn't go well. But it happens, like, Huntress, really big map. They had really good RNG. They had, like, 3 pallet gyms into, like, one another from, like, 7 to, like, 6, and then into Shack, and then into 5. It was, like, really bad, so.
Yeah, they had a good...
Really shocked.
They had a very good loop set up where they connected very well. I was definitely rooting because I love Huntress. I love playing Huntress, and there's nothing more satisfying than get some of those, hatchets over the top of loops or in any type of random chase, just like some of those really feel-good hatchets. So I was rooting for it just because I wanted to see some excitement. Like, you see that bomb come through and you're like, yeah, you get hype about it. But, the other team knew what they got loaded into and played it very well. So, kudos to them, absolutely. But, hey, at the end of the day, y'all did exactly what you needed to do to come out on top. And I expected you guys to fire back. So, well played. Do you have anything to say to the fans?
Hi, fans. Nightlight, you stink, because he's literally attacking me in chat. Ninny said he loves Joe, and we all love Washed where I'm from. That's all.
Well, hey, GG's. I look forward to seeing more 6 matches in the future. I've played against y'all before, so like I knew what to expect, but I'm definitely excited. You guys played very well. Solid showing on both sides. And realistically, not really getting rid of any top tier killers either. So I'm excited to see you bring out coming in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, that's always the best feeling when you kind of like bring like mid-tier killers and like beat an S tier, like take hold of one. Especially since you can only use a killer twice during the season, so
Right.
it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, GG's Clay, I appreciate you. Thank you for stopping and talking to us. Take that win home,
course.
celebrate with the homies, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, peace.
All right, chat. And don't forget, even though that wraps up our matchup here between Six and Outlaws of the Fog, we will be taking a little bit of a break here. We're actually going to raid, so if y'all can hang with us for the raid, remember this is kind of a place where we can continue to build that little bit of, I guess you could say, an ambiance, let people know that the competitive scene is here. It is something that is for real, but also let people know that the competitive scene is like friendly. So let's go over and make some new friends. And you're gonna have the same two people here back for 9. I'm excited. Can you wait?
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. But hey, before we go, just remember, Six was convicted of murder.
That's right.
And we'll be back. An exciting match here in about an hour and a half. Hour. Be back in an hour. And you know what? I'm excited, man. I'm excited. So definitely we'll see everybody. But court would be adjourned for now.
Peace.